You've almost covered maybe 3/4 of the world till now with 140 countries. And how many passports? I don't know. It must be
16 passports. Many of these countries I visited in multiples of times. Switzerland 100 times, New Zealand 47 times. Things like that, because my work took me there. And every day I used to think of what I'm going to present next to my director or my stars or to the producer. When I was 54, I made one bad decision and I went bankrupt. The project which really turned me around was Bahubali. But I've been lucky that way that I worked with 3 generations of actors, stars in the South. That's what I'm trying to say to all the people. Everybody can be a winner. You have to follow your passion.
Ramji, for finding time for our viewers and listeners at India Podcasts. It's a complete pleasure to have you this morning with us. Thank you so much for joining in.
Thank you for having me, Anku. Thank you.
I would like to begin. Your story is very unique. I mean, as you appear a person very different, I think your story is really, it moves around. It moves us and it moves around. To begin with, I want to know that you're also known as the location man or the location guru. So tell us about the moment when it was coined to you for the first time, and how did this make you feel like you're the location man now?
Oh, it's a fantastic feeling. I don't know. I think way back in 97 or 96, that's when a major economic boom under P.V. Narasimha Rao, when he was the Prime Minister, he opened up India. And before that, traveling outside we had to get so much of permissions, and we could not, probably we would do 1 or 2 movies. But by 96, what happened when this whole thing opened up, we were filming almost every month 3 to 4 films outside India. And in those days, then they used to keep looking for me. They used to call, where's this guy, location guy, And I think somewhere down the line, in Telugu, with respect, you call a person guru. So then it became location guru. From there on, I think that kind of tag stuck on.
It is very important to understand the turning point in the location man's life. And by that, I mean, there must be so many moments in your life where you felt like this is the pickup point from my setback moment. You had a very difficult childhood time. You had faced all the complexities. Can you help us know some of those moments in your life where your setbacks became a reinventing self moment for you, and it helped you push forward rather than leave everything?
Okay, see, my life as a school student and college student was very miserable because I was so poor in academics that people had just given up on me. My own family, my friends, and I was a huge embarrassment to my parents. Of course, in those days, in our conservative background, academics was everything. Okay, and if you are bad at it, you are just written off. With this being my background, I was always a good sportsman. I used to play cricket, I used to play tennis, all the games, and I used to get pleasure in only those kind of things, And I was a fashion model for some time, but opportunities were very, very less in those days. So then I ventured into movie acting, and in movie acting, I acted for about 40 films, and my career graph started high and went low. So after 7 years in movies, and this was in 86, 87, I just didn't know what I was going to do because I hadn't completed even my basic degree. And I just got one job in an airline as part of a sales team. And they said, okay, we can't pay you any salary. We'll just give you 350 rupees as a stipend. Now, if you get business, we will you'll get a commission. So, okay. I just took it upon me, and when I did my first sale with one of the movie friends of mine who was traveling, he said, okay, Ramji, you do my ticket. I made some money out of it, and I was able to see some money in my hands. That gave me that confidence and say, okay, here, I'm in this business, and I have I have a film background. And as I explained to you, then they gave me an opportunity to act in that movie as a villain and also handle the film shoot in Hong Kong. And I was feeling so good about the whole job because there was a sense of fulfillment in me. That was the time when I felt, okay, useful, after, probably at the age of 24 or something like that, without doing anything. I had all my life, I was struggling. At that point of time, that turned me around, that shoot in Hong Kong and subsequently the shoot in Singapore. So that's when I found the connect between films and travel and tourism. And then as movies started, in movies also, it's very competitive. Each director or producer wants his locations to be one up on all the other films before. So always they used to say, Ramji, we have got 2 songs, 3 songs. This must be something out of the box, out of the world. I don't know. You tell me what should we do. And then I used to, slowly started adapting myself into that mode. Like, I used to start thinking from their head, from the head of the director or a cinematographer, or for that matter, the producer and the hero, because these are the 4 decision makers in the movie industry when it comes to locations.
Your turning point was at 24 when you felt like, okay, after struggling and feeling left out, you found yourself accepted by many people. But Ramji, you being an actor and then being on the other side of the film industry, which is all connected, was it a difficult switch there? Was it like being an actor is so different than being a line producer or a location, setting up the location for a movie? How difficult was that move for you?
No. It was because I felt very comfortable in the environment of the filmy world, because I was part of it I was a part of the film fraternity for 7 years. So especially in South India, you get to mingle with all the 4 languages. So, I mean, just a little bit of trivia. India makes around 2,000 plus movies, out of which 75% are done in the South. Bollywood accounts for probably around only 25% of the movies. So what happened in those days was people used to make, if they make a successful movie in one language, they replicate it in other languages. So if a hit movie in Tamil, for sure will get remade into a hit movie in Telugu, in Kannada, in Malayalam, and in Hindi. So what happened was, because I had done a movie which was successful and the locations were good, they are making another movie, probably the same movie in another language. Again, I used to get pulled in.
And a new location. So you can't repeat the location.
No, you can repeat. See, in those days, we had very limited options for us. But then, for example, from 93 onwards, we started the Switzerland run. When in those days in Switzerland, how do you know the locations? No internet, no Google, nothing. So all they rely also is on my word and my other counterpart in Switzerland. So we drive around towards a location. We say, okay, this is what's our plan. This is a location. We have some, scratchy photos, and on the way, they keep looking at both sides and say, hey, stop. This looks good. We should stop there in the car, pull the bus and get a troop out of the bus, set the shot, do the shot, again get into the bus and keep driving. Again, they say, oh, stop. That's how we used to locate locations in the 90s.
Now things have changed. So now the way you could hunt for a location earlier is not the same today. Now scenarios.
I mean, 33 years and things change. Every 3 or 4 years, the trend changes, the taste changes. And, for me to be in an industry for 40 years, especially that too a film industry, where it is very, very whimsical. You are here today, you're gone tomorrow. Okay. You just see the graph of anybody. It's not like you are working as an IAS officer you move up the ranks and you start working at 24 or so, then you retire at 58 or 60, whatever. Here, you are here for 2 years and you're gone. Nobody knows of you. You're forgotten. But I've been lucky that way that I worked with 3 generations of actors, stars in the South. Because of what I was doing in the South, I got connected to Hindi because all these movie makers who were making successful movies started making Hindi movies, the same movie. So in those days, I used to work with Salman Khan, Shah Rukh Khan way back, and Govinda and Anil Kapoor, because they used to do the remakes of the movie, which was made in Tamil or Telugu or Kannada.
Yes. So, talking about your journey in the movies, you might have worked on a lot of projects in Hindi, in South, everywhere. Do you have any one particular project? I know it's very difficult to choose, where you felt like the learning stays with you forever and it's something very inspirational for you. You felt like this project taught me a lot, not just in terms of my career, but in every way.
Yeah. The project which really turned me around, turned me back. When I was 54, I made one bad decision and I went bankrupt. I lost everything I had. Whatever I worked for from 24 to 54. Okay. At that point of time, I got an opportunity from my friend of mine, good friend of mine, whose father-in-law was one of the biggest directors called Raghavendra Rao, his son-in-law. And this guy's name is Shobhanadri Yarlagada. We call him Shobu. Okay. Shobu called me and said, Ramji, I'm making a movie. And this is a fantasy movie. And we need to film in a snow kingdom. And I am unable to get a place because, you normally specialize in Switzerland. You normally specialize or in New Zealand. But if we set it up, the whole shoot there, it's going to cost astronomical. And it's going to be astronomical and we can't afford it with this kind of cost. But I want you to get me an alternative for Himalayas. And that movie was Bahubali.
Wow.
Bahubali became India's iconic movie. It is the biggest success ever. And that movie, changed my life all over again. At that point of time, what had happened was because I was so down and out, I was desperate. I wanted to do something. My wife said, okay, come on, don't brood over it. Okay, it's okay. Whatever you've lost doesn't matter. You can come back again. So, at that point, one friend of mine said, there is this country called Bulgaria. Nobody has ever heard of it. And there are some fantastic locations there and all these things. So I said, okay, let me go to Bulgaria. When I landed first in Bulgaria, I felt I've done a big mistake. What is it? I've been to Switzerland and New Zealand and Austria. These are, Western Europe, and this is in the Balkans, Eastern Europe, and, things look run down. But after a couple of days, I started getting a feeling that there's a huge opportunity in Bulgaria. And that's when I went up the mountains. I saw the snow and this locations. And immediately I was able to, relate this to the movie we are going to make, Bahubali. And then I called up my producer and said, I got this place in Bulgaria. You will love it. Please come, take a chance. He trusted me. He came over. And that's how Bahubali happened.
Everything is visible, yes. Ramji, I want to know, now that you've made your life, the struggle that you had, many people struggle through that. They try to make their ends meet, feeling directionless. What is that you can now suggest to them, the ones who really feel they have no aim or no direction or they feel lost? Is there something that you wish to tell them that there is a hope ahead, and how do you feel that?
See, I always, I always have this opinion that life has to be lived, not imitated. Okay? Because your parents want you to do something, your father wants you to do something, your mother wants you to do, but what do you want to do? Okay, you must do something which you love and like. I love to travel. I love to eat different kinds of food. I love to experience. And the only thing I realize, the only thing that makes you richer today is travel. All other things are materialistic. Okay, you have a fancy car, you have a fancy house, you can have 10 houses, but nothing is going to be coming with you. The only thing that's going to travel with you is your experience and your memories. So what happens is, see, when you are especially in a small place, you think you're very big. Once you start going out into the world, you start getting to feel you're very, very small in front of what is there in the world. I've traveled to 140 countries, and still I want to travel to 100 more. I mean, whatever is left. And again, I want to do it all over again. All I'm asking, Almighty is for give me more time. That's all. Many of these countries I have visited in multiples of times. Switzerland 100 times, New Zealand 47 times, things like that, because my work took me there, and every day I used to think of what I'm going to present next to the my director or my stars or to the producer. So I always try to come up with something different. The added bonus is I get to see these places and I get to experience the cuisine. I get to interact with the people. Once you start going around the world, the lessons you learn from everything is fantastic.
So, will Ramji now come back to India after Corona? We see your bucket list. How is your bucket list plan now?
I want to again do one more extensive run on South America. We shot for 3 major films in South America. I have traveled to South America 7 times. I have been to, we filmed in Machu Picchu, which is 7 wonders of the world in Peru. Then we did a major movie in a place called Salar de Uyuni in Bolivia. On the Bolivia-Chile border, in Bolivia, 10,000 square kilometers of pure white salt flat at 14,000 feet. You should see this place to believe it. It is like you are in another planet.
It sounds so nice. Ramji, I want to know, when you're traveling so much, have you discovered yourself inside because you're traveling outside? So is one part of traveling also bringing you closer to yourself, because there's no end to traveling? You've almost covered maybe 3/4 of the world till now with 140 countries. And how many passports? I don't know. It must be more
16 passports. And
Yeah.
I'm very, very careful because when I'm at the immigration, I request the officer, please, can you stamp on a use page? Because when you have to renew your passport, that's a big rigmarole. We don't want to. So to not to get into that, I try to, in each of my pages, I request them to at least have 10 stamps. They
You
normally
must
say
be
only 4.
laughing.
Yeah, then I say I have to travel again. Please, can you, this is a favor. Can you just,
But do you think traveling outside led you to become more closer to yourself? It was more like going inside as you were going outside.
Absolutely, absolutely. You start. It's a very humbling experience when you start traveling. You find that, whereas as I told you, if you are in one place and you start thinking that you own the place and you start to imagine that you are invincible. But when you get out, you go further and further. You realize that you are in the hands of Almighty. We are just a small little speck. So it's a very humbling experience more than anything else.
I think you are anyway a very humble person I have met myself. I want to also ask you that if there's one place that Ramji wants to see himself be, with work or without work, what is that place? Have you identified that location?
Oh, I had got 10 such places. Because the creation of God is so vast and so beautiful. I would like to, for example, uh, give an experience of mine where we filmed 2 years ago on the lake Baikal in Siberia. What happens there is from January and onwards, the whole lake freezes.
Wow.
And people drive on the lake, trucks, cars, and they have ice parties where they set up bonfire on the ice.
No risk that it will melt in again.
No, and we filmed this in May when it was melting, and what was the mode of transport we used was a 10-seater hovercraft going at 80-kilometer speed over the ice, broken ice and water. And the temperature dips to minus 50 plus in some regions. And the water there is the purest of the purest form, fresh water. And people do scuba diving in summer in that water.
That's
It's
one
so
of the
clear.
places you want to spend your time, work or no work.
One of the places. There are many more. For example, Iceland. If you go to Iceland, it is a treat for you. I mean, it's so fresh, so crisp. At the same time, you're breathing pure oxygen. And I mean, you are in a concrete jungle. I am in a concrete jungle. You know how it is. When you see that kind of nature, it is unbelievable. New Zealand, for that matter, you got to live in a place like Queenstown or some place like that, which was, it is like you're, in a piece of heaven.
If I have to ask you to look back at your life, and is there anything that you would want to change ever? What could it be? Any phase, any chapter, or it is just perfect the way it has come out?
Well, looking back to where I am today, well, okay, I don't feel bad or I don't carry any grudges for the mistakes I made, because if somebody says he has made no mistakes, that person has done nothing. You can only make no mistakes if you do nothing. So, I mean, okay, I mean, I can say, oh, I should have done that. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. Maybe I should have done that. See, many people, before they die, most of the time they have this thing, all they have is small little thing. They said, oh, I should have done this. Oh, I could have done this. People only have regrets. But that way, I say, what I feel is that things have been quite good to me, in spite of my ups and downs. And look at the baggage I carry. Look at the kind of experience I've had. Very few people would have had the same thing.
Thank you so much. It is such a beautiful moment for me to know someone who's traveled and worked through his journey. It's said that you should always work where your passion lies. So,
Absolutely.
can we say that for you, that you were lucky to travel and work in that particular space? Because it's very rare. Either you only travel in your life and you work through your life to earn money to travel, but you've been lucky to earn money from traveling. So, how does that?
Absolutely. Oh, that's even sweeter, isn't it?
I know. So,
When you can make some money out of traveling, visiting. See, it's kind of become like a mission for me to locate new places. So, not all will work, but at least I have come to know that there is some place. Probably it didn't work for the movies, but it gave me immense satisfaction. For example, I did a 15-day scuba diving course in a place called Sipadan in Borneo. It's at the tip of Malaysia and Philippines. And believe me, the world under the water is even more fascinating than the world above the water. It changed my life, that 15 days.
thank you so much, Ramji, for your time, for your experience, for your life lessons, and giving a sense that despite all the setbacks, life can be beautiful as it is for you.
That's what I'm trying to say to all the people. Everybody can be a winner. You have to follow your passion. Life has to be lived, not imitated. Okay? Live your life. Thank you,
So
Anku.